Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it and we'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here, and today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, and 2 days after tax day. So hopefully you got your taxes in or your extensions done and everything's going well. And hey, I hope you made a lot of money on scrap last year, and let's figure out some ways to help you make more money on scrap this year. First and foremost, go to our YouTube page. I mean, if you aren't going to our YouTube page when you have a couple of extra minutes of downtime, whether you're sitting on the porcelain throne or you're sitting on the couch at night, our videos on our YouTube page are going to give you so much ability to make money. Learning how to separate materials, learning what's worth money that you may not have known about, learning how to sort different materials that you didn't know could be sorted. I mean, this week when I was looking at some of the questions, people were asking all types of questions about how to pull and upgrade your motherboards and your different circuit boards. And these are tips that we have dozens of videos through the iScrap Apps YouTube page. And yes, it's very important to learn prices. Who said that it isn't? But it's also important to know grades and materials and how to make more money with things. So check that out. So without further ado, let's jump into our regular, weekly report. Let's jump right off the bat with copper, which has now seen 52-week highs in multiple 52-week highs over the last 7 or 8 days. Since the beginning of March, we have now seen copper prices go up 20%, which unbelievable to me. I'm closing my eyes to just pause for a second because I would have bet on markets going down 10% to the 330 trading level. And here we are at a 430 trading level. And when we look at Bear Bright prices, these numbers are about to skyrocket. At Rockaway Recycling, we're paying $375 on Bear Bright. And you're going to start to see some of these prices jumping up quickly in the coming days. Generally, there's about a week lag time for the big price jumps, but $375, we had a 10-cent price increase this past Friday. If markets stay the way that they are, we might see another 3 to 5 cents being added on this week. Generally, traders sell material that they don't have yet with how the stock or copper is moving, then they get caught up, then they have another price increase. So that's a good piece of it, a good tip. That's kind of a scrapper secret. Scrap yards will increase, but they may not increase the full amount until the second week because they only have so much inventory. But copper prices are up, and here's the reason why. Radio silence. I have no idea. There's no reason. I read different articles in the last week and a half, right? I read articles about copper mines not restarting. I read articles about too much copper in inventories in warehouses. I read articles about too much inventory being exported overseas, and I don't see enough of a demand. While we've seen prices continuing to increase, the demand on the material side is not there. The demand is not there yet. Here we are with prices up 20%, and a little birdie whispered to me, actually 3 little birdies whispered to me, that we might see copper prices hitting $5 on a trading level this year. And another guy said, and I quote, "It's a foregone conclusion," end quote. And I know that these are just conversations that I have, but I generally have conversations with people that are trading large amounts of copper and dealing with large amounts of peddlers and scrappers. And they see these markets going up, even though the international demand and domestic demand doesn't seem to be there. We see the increased demand going, and we just see markets increasing. So while I do have a sell recommendation on all metals right now, I'm not going to save anything. I've said it for years, right? I have 2 to 3 day turnover on my scrap. So if you're going to save something because you're looking for that copper price to hit those 2021 levels again, I don't know, maybe it'll happen. We keep printing money, and as you print money, what happens? They kind of get pushed out somewhere. I read an article recently that said there's not enough stuff for big companies to buy right now. And that's why they're reinvesting. They're taking money out of the stock market because they just don't know what to do. And commodities aren't showing signs of growth for them to be investing in forward-facing supply. In the past, we've seen automakers, when markets get low, scoop up a bunch of material, build up their warehouses. So when things are busy, now they're selling cheaper inventory. That's not happening. It's just confusing what's happening right now, but we're going to continue to let you know week by week what we see going on. Let's jump into the steel prices. Okay. Steel prices right now, no good news, no bad news, even week over week. I guess a little bit of bad news. These tensions that we're seeing in the Middle East between Israel, Iran, all of the problems, Gaza, right? All the problems are causing oil prices to have a little bit of a negative jump. And we're seeing oil prices going up. We're seeing the demand for oil going up, going into the summertime. And we may not see a lot of increases when it comes to steel prices. We're going to pull up shred week over week. We haven't seen an increase, right? We haven't seen a decrease, a little bit down, right? So we have kind of stabilized in the last month, which is good, but the demand isn't there, and we see oil prices increasing. And I saw someone ask again the other day about that bridge collapse in Baltimore, how that was going to affect the markets. It's going to have a very small to negative to little impact on the markets. They're still going to be able to ship stuff out of there. Unfortunately, they're going to have to do it by rail. They're going to have to do it by truck, but you're not going to see a huge impact on the worldwide markets. If you saw the entire East Coast shut down, that would have an impact. One port from the East Coast generally will not have one, even if it was at a New York, Newark area, because you're still not producing, a huge amount of scrap out of that for a worldwide consumption point of view. So again, steel prices relatively tame. I don't see much movement there. A good thing, aluminum prices, nice uptick, 5-6 cents we're seeing. Sheet aluminum prices, I expect to see trading in the 50 to 52 cent range in the coming weeks. Right now, we're at 48 cents on a national average. Those national numbers should be jumping into the 50s. And you can already see here, some of these prices are getting there, 55, 55, 54. So we're getting close to having aluminum prices jump. So again, a great time for you to maximize your aluminum, checking out our videos on YouTube. We have so many videos on how to sort and separate your aluminum. That's going to allow you to really, really see a nice increase. I believe Rockway Recycling is at 49 cents right now for sheet aluminum. That price will be going up in the coming days. So a nice jump on aluminum prices, very strong markets. Great to see that turnaround in the aluminum prices. And we'll pull up stainless steel for a second, but stainless to me is super confusing. I'll tell you why. About a month and a half ago, nickel prices traded at $16,000 a ton. Today, they're over $18,000 a ton. So it's about a 13% increase. Stainless steel prices, we should start to see an increase. Yet we're seeing the market going down. Last week, in fact, I saw 5 cents coming off of the stainless pricing that I got locally. So here you are, you're seeing prices 25, 34, 35. This is right in line where the prices are. They really haven't moved. These markets have not been heavily affected. They have not been heavily changed on an upswing of nickel prices. In fact, the scrap demand has gone down, which really doesn't make sense, right? Copper prices trading up, scrap copper trading up. Nickel prices trading up, stainless prices trading down. And yes, stainless does have iron in it, which will affect it, right? But that value of nickel is so high that it should offset that iron decrease. But here we are. We haven't seen that happening at all, not even a little bit. Now, a couple other things I'd like to talk about. One, gold prices, another all-time record high. We saw gold prices hitting $2,400 an ounce the other day. Silver prices are close to $30 an ounce. And it's great seeing gold prices increase. But the reason is, the reason I look for, and then I ask the question, why? Why are gold prices increasing? A lot of people think that, with inflation continuing to stay at a higher level, with the decreased chances of the interest rates going down this year, that people are flocking towards gold. That's why we have gold over $2,400 an ounce. People think that it was funny. I listened to something talking about comparing Bitcoin to gold, right? So you're comparing a digital asset to a physical asset. And Bitcoin prices had a drastic decline over the last week and a half. And people are like, oh, well, gold prices are offsetting them. That's going to really help the markets. And some people are just going into gold because they're worried about the interest rate increases. They're worried about companies not having heavy investments, even though profits are coming out strong. What's the consumer demand, right? Apple saw a big decrease in their iPhone shipments last quarter. That means less people bought them than they were predicted to. That means less material is going to be needed to replace the inventory that they want to sell. Less scrap is going to be consumed for Apple specifically. Ford, large amount of vehicles in their lots, from the electric vehicles to their gas and their diesel engines. That means that they're not going to be overproducing like they were in 2022 and 2023 to play catch up. Now they have an oversupply. They're not going to need as many materials coming into their facilities for production. This is how everything works together, right? And then on the gold side of things, seeing it over 2,400 an ounce, I said to myself, wow, I bet we're going to see platinum prices jumping to over $1,000. Wrong. Platinum, palladium, and rhodium, all contributing factors to the catalytic converter prices, have not done anything in the last week, short of a couple of 2 to 3% jumps and decreases. And when we go to cats.com in a second, we're going to see some of these prices really haven't moved. We haven't seen any prices moving in over a year. Let's just click on Torpedo Cat. It's a big range, but it'll illustrate the point really well. If you look at this chart from rrcats.com offering free trucking, free shipping for all OEM cats and no PayPal fees over $200 in the last 45, 60 days, look at the price average, almost flat. 630, 630. We had a 632, went down a little bit, right? But what does that show me? The average for the higher graded cats are the same, which means the overall market movement is negligible, if any. So it's really interesting watching these markets and trying to learn where they're going to go, and seeing the prices of raw commodities has not impacted the price of catalytic converters. What I thought was going to impact the price of catalytic converters was the Biden administration a few weeks ago, and I mentioned this already, talking about increasing emission standards. If they increase the emission standards, they should be using more catalytic converter precious metal materials inside. That's now being challenged. So the one good piece of news we had on a higher cap price has disappeared. We haven't seen it. And we're now 2 years into the Russian problem. So there's not going to be a quick jump like we saw 2 years ago in March 22. We got a problem with Iran and Israel. That's not going to have a heavy impact in the markets. So I don't know where the cap prices are going. I don't see them going up. That's for sure. But, again, continue to check out rrcats.com. One thing, we saw a bunch of people talking about spring cleaning this week in kind of the social setting from our YouTube, our Instagram feeds, and all those. A lot of people are talking about full trailers of light iron and other ferrous items. And I can't say this enough, right? Unless you're bringing something back, like an air conditioner that has to be taken apart, why you would ever touch steel twice is foreign to me, right? Think about it. Unless you're moving hundreds of tons a month, not hundreds of pounds, hundreds of tons. I'm not even talking about like 20 tons, right? Because you could do that for a cleanup job. Unless you're moving hundreds of tons of steel a month, there's no reason to save steel. You're causing yourself more work. And chances are your towns don't want you to set up your own scrapyard in your backyard and make piles of steel. The only thing I could recommend that could make sense is either asking your local scrapyard for a dumpster that you can store on your property for your steel with no rental fees, not very high, or buy your own dumpster and ask the scrapyard if they would run it for you, where you can save steel on your own. But if you don't have the ability to do that, and most people don't, If steel is in your truck, your trailer, your van, your pickup bed, get it out. I don't care if you get zero. My scrapyard doesn't buy steel under 500 pounds because by the time we unload it, weigh it, dump it, run it, we make no money. But it's worth getting rid of a couple of 100 pounds while you're cashing in copper instead of putting it off to the side, putting it back in your truck and moving it out. And I mention that because so many people have been talking about spring cleanups, moving appliances, trailer loads of steel. Think about the materials you have, go through videos and suggestions that we've made to help you make more money on all of those. So that's kind of my 10 cents here. Did I touch on everything for the week? I think so. To middle of April, going into May, we're starting to see these copper prices going, and hopefully we'll continue to see that trend going. Comment below with anything else you'd like us to talk about. And until next week, I'll scrap you later.
Thanks for watching our video. For $2.99 a month, by becoming a member, you can get access to early videos, member-only videos, merchandise discounts from our store, and priority comments that we answer before answering any other scrappers. Click the link below to learn more. Until next time, scrap you later.